Please give it up for Mr. Robert Picardo!
Hello, everybody. I have a question first off. I tried the volumizing shampoo in my hotel room, and I think it's really working. What do you think? Does my head look bigger than yesterday? I think it's really working. Thank you. How are you all? Are you having a good time? I love being in Telford. I love the names of towns. Telford is not a particularly silly one, but I was speaking earlier when I went to Blackpool years ago about how you English people like to give funny names to your... I mean, why would you... Who would want to go to a resort town named Blackpool? Doesn't it just sort of sound like hole in the ground? Scum puddle? You know? But I remember Ethan Phillips and I were particularly enchanted with a nearby town called Ramsbottom. So we had long conversations on stage about, gee, I'd love to go to Ramsbottom. I hear it's difficult to get in. I don't know. I got in quite easily. How long did you stay? Oh, I wanted to stay the whole day. Anyway, sorry about that. This is a family audience. I'm not going to make any more comments like that. But why would you name a place Ramsbottom? Never mind, I don't want to know. I also like your food things. You know, I love, you know, Bubble and Squeak and Bangers and Mash. I was thinking the other night of having a spotted dick with cream, but I don't know. Do I need a shot of penicillin before I have that? Or is it safe? It's probably okay. I'm going to take your questions in a little while. But until then, I thought I would just speak a little bit about what I've been doing recently. First of all, regarding, I do a monthly newsletter for a group called the Planetary Society. Has anyone ever heard of the Planetary Society? It's a space advocacy group, the largest international and oldest, I believe, space advocacy group, co-founded by a man named Carl Sagan, who you may have heard of, and two colleagues from Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Lewis Friedman and Bruce Murray. Sadly, we lost Mr. Sagan at a very young age, and we also lost Bruce Murray, who was also very famous for putting the first, for arguing at NASA to put the first cameras on a spacecraft. Can you imagine a spacecraft without a camera on it? Why would you do it? You know, if you don't photograph something, how can we prove we did it? Anyway, these were quite brilliant men. They founded a group called the Planetary Society. Our fearless leader now is a man named Bill Nye, who's very famous in the States as a science educator, Bill Nye, the science guy. And I am on the board. Until very recently, we had hacks on the board like Neil deGrasse Tyson. And Neil took a leave for a while because he's so busy with other things. We have Heidi Hamill, who runs all of the intergovernmental group that controls all of the space telescopes for NASA. So it's a group of brilliant people. Most of them have multiple advanced degrees. And me! I said to them, what am I doing here? I mean, I'm the least educated, least qualified person there. And they say, well, we love you because of your access to the science fiction audience. I can bring our message of the Planetary Society to you guys, which is that if you love science fiction, you really love science. You just may not know that. So I do a free monthly newsletter about what's happening in space called the Planetary Post. You can subscribe for free. I have little cards on my autograph table so that you can connect with it. I'm very proud of it. My guest of last month's episode was a guy named Tim Russ, you may have heard of. Tim is a very accomplished amateur astronomer himself. He owns 4 scopes of his own. And this is a passion that he's had long before he ever was on Star Trek. And we did a piece at the historic Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles. If you've seen the movie La La Land, when they're dancing at the Griffith Observatory, it's a spectacular place. If you visit Los Angeles, it's totally free. You must go visit the Griffith Observatory. It's been there since the 1920s, when a man named Griffith decided that he'd look through a telescope, and he said, if everyone could look through a telescope as I am now, if everyone could see this, it would change the world. Those were his words, and he gifted this beautiful telescope to the city of Los Angeles. So all people could have that experience and come and look through the telescope, and you can do it too when you come to visit LA. Anyway, they have what's called star parties once a month. there, where people that love looking through their telescopes bring them, and they all set them up on the great lawn in front of the observatory, and the public can look through other people's scopes, or they can look through the giant classic scope that they have there since the 1920s. In the episode, Tim Russ, when I run into him, doesn't remember who I am. That was my joke. I thought that would be funny. So he pretends not to know who I am. So it's quite amusing. These are very lighthearted. They're not very sciencey. They're really for the general public. I urge you to check out the Planetary Post, and I appreciate it. As an actor, let's talk about, instead of talking about first what I've just done, I'm very excited to mention something that I'm going to be doing here in the UK. I'm going to be appearing at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival for the first time in my life. I'm going to be doing a new play by a man named Dan Freeman. I met Dan via Skype. Haven't met him person to person, but he's going to show up here later today, but he's not here yet. Dan is a writer. He's done, I know him through his very well-received radio dramas called The Ministry of Chance and The Light of September. I met Dan through this little Scotsman named Sylvester McCoy, you may have heard of. He keeps insisting, I'm the doctor, and I say, no, Sylvester, I'm the doctor. I don't know what you're talking about. By the way, I never knew that when I was called the doctor on Voyager, apparently I was ripping off 60 years of British science fiction television. I had no idea at the time. I didn't know I was doing that. Yes, I am the doctor from across the ocean. I'm the doctor from the other franchise. But Sylvester and I have become friends, and he will be acting in the play with me. An original play called A Joke, which means it should be funny. Let's hope it is. And a third British actor named Richard Oliver. A third actor. I'm not a British actor. So we've got 2 Brits and 1 American in a play called A Joke. I hope you will come see us at the Edinburgh Festival. We have an online campaign, which is doing fairly well, to pay for the show. To help bring me over and put me up and stuff like that. So I hope you'll consider, look at my Twitter feed at Robert Picardo and consider possibly even lending a little support to A Joke so that we make it to the Edinburgh Film Fringe Festival. So that's very exciting. What else cool is happening? Anybody here watch the Super Bowl in the States? Only one person? I was in the Super Bowl. No, that's a lie. I just thought, since the rest of the people didn't know I was lying, I would try it. On the Super Bowl, which, believe me, I'm not an American football fan either, but they have the best commercials of the year. And they had this incredible commercial with the brilliant Jeffrey Rush, who won an Oscar for the movie Shine years ago. Wonderful actor, is going to play Albert Einstein in a limited series. The first time National Geographic Channel is ever going to do a scripted TV series. It's called Genius. Ron Howard, the celebrated film director, directed the first episode, and he is the producer, his company. And I'm in the show later on in the series as Abraham Flexner, who was the man who founded the Prinstitute. That's apparently a very smart prostitute is a Prinstitute. I've never used that word before, but if you're a prostitute with an advanced degree, you're a Prinstitute. The Institute for Advanced Studies at Princeton, home of the Prinstitutes. In the 1930s, my character Abraham Flexner helped Einstein escape from Germany as Hitler was consolidating power in the 1930s. And Einstein was sort of installed at the Institute for Advanced Studies, where he was free to just do pure research and didn't have to teach too much. I play Abraham Flexner, his boss in that. I just did a show called The Last Tycoon, where I play, also set in the 1930s. I play a character named Leopold Ferber, who is an Austrian violinist and concertmaster, and I speak German in that, which is fun for me, because I speak German, but I've never spoken German on film before. So since the movie Hail Caesar last year, I don't know if any of you saw Hail Caesar, I play a Jewish rabbi. I play nothing but Jews anymore. I become, in fact, if I were on Voyager now, I would be a Jewish hologram. Which I suppose would be a circumcised hologram, I don't know. I can't really believe I said that publicly. Sorry about that. Do you remember on Voyager that the episode with the MH Mark II, played by Andy Dick, where we're walking and I'm bragging about how many freedoms I have aboard Voyager because of my hollow emitter, and I say I fraternize with the crew. I have a free run of the ship. I fraternize with the crew. I've even had sexual relations. And he says, but how? We're not a group. And I say, let's just say I made an addition to my program. Okay, I read the script and I call the producers and I say, are we kidding? And they said, no. I said, well, when did I have sex? How did I not notice that? I said, we see the first time the Doctor is initiated on Voyager, and then we see him every week. I said, when did this interesting thing happen? He said, oh, don't worry about it, it's just a joke. I said, well, wait a minute. I have to understand. I mean, why would you create an emergency medical program with a... What kind of emergency medical procedures are we envisioning? I mean, I suppose there could be a pressing need for a sexual surrogate. Totally open to that, especially, I mean, if 7 of 9, for example, once her skin had been dermally regenerated under that suit I put her in, felt that she had to learn a thing or two that she'd forgotten, the Doctor would be totally there for her. Anyway, I just couldn't understand why, and he said, it's just a joke, and I said, all right. I decided to make up my own backstory for that. So that's the reason that I actually wrote a book called The Hologram's Handbook, and one of the chapters was when the Doctor upgraded his program to be anatomically correct. Well, meanwhile, the producer, Brandon Braga, hears that I'm the Doctor. Robert Picardo is writing a book as the Doctor, so then he writes a Voyager episode called Author, where the Doctor's writing a book. He totally ripped me off. Which is one of my favorite episodes. I love that. The one where the Doctor, where Tom Paris makes fun of the Doctor's program because the Doctor has made himself the hero of the ship in his own novel. So Tom Paris does another program where the Doctor's a total douchebag. I'm sorry, is that a British term as well, douchebag? Yes. Okay, good. I know I can't say fanny pack here. In the States, what you call a bum bag, we call a fanny pack. And when I first said fanny pack on stage, all the ladies went, so I've learned better than that. I would not say that publicly, even though I just said it publicly. Sorry? Twice publicly, thank you. But who's counting? Come on. There are not that many young people here, are there? Oh, there are a few. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, one of my favorite scenes in Voyager is the sleazy Doctor scene from Author, where the Doctor has a comb over. Do you remember that? His badly combed over hair. And then he's incredibly sleazy when you meet him. Anyway, that scene is genuinely funny. I've forgotten about it because it's all so long ago. And then somebody points out something and they say, do you remember that? And I watch it and I go, oh my God, that was really funny. Now I'm starting to get what you people liked. Anyway, I'm going to take your questions in a minute. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I'll also be, I continue to sing. I've done a couple of musicals in the last couple of years. I did one called Enter Laughing, the musical. I just did the lead in Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum about 1.5 years ago. I also sing occasionally with a swing band. I'll be on April 15th in LA. I'll be singing some songs from the 1920s and 30s with a swing band, with a man named Scott Abels, who was the grandnephew of Bing Crosby, but his stage name, because he used to be, as a young man in his teens, he was a big band singer. He was like the Michael Jackson of big bands when he was young, and his stage name is Johnny Holiday. So now as an older man, he's in his 50s now, he still performs as Johnny Holiday, even though he was away from singing for a while. And he has all these people that guest for him. And because he's a bit of a Star Trek fan, that's how I met him. And I will be singing a medley with him of 20 songs and then some other, I mean, really silly old songs. Like in 1929, there was a song, 1929 was the year that American musical theater grew up, the great show, Showboat, which has Old Man River, that old man river, he must know something, he don't say nothing. It's one of the greatest songs ever written. It has, in one short lyric, it encapsulates all of the human experience. The character sings, I get weary and sick of trying. I'm tired of living and scared of dying. And then it goes on. Really beautiful song. That same year, 1929, I lost my microphone. Did I step? Oh, I stepped beyond the zone. Look at this. When I step up here, you can't hear me. Okay. That same year, there was a song called Oceans of Kisses, and I'm on the Crest of the Wave. Probably the worst song ever written, but I think it's cute. Now I'm going to sing that one. Same year, okay? Do I seem to effervesce? My little lady said maybe, and maybe means yes. She's a dream to gaze upon. She's lovely, she's gorgeous, and from now on, oceans of kisses, and oceans of love, and I'm on the crest of the wave. Red lips that lure me, and blue eyes above, and I'm on the crest of the wave. Once it was low tide, I couldn't win, and now it's high tide, and here I come rolling in with oceans of kisses, and oceans of love, and I'm on the crest of the wave. Okay, that was it, ladies and gentlemen. You just heard the most poignant, serious, existential song of the 1920s and the most stupid one. And they're both pretty great, right? Okay, so you've got a preview of what I'll be doing on the 15th in LA since you can't make it there. Anything else I wanted to say? Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'm ready to take questions. You can ask me whatever you want, and then I'll simply say no. I'm not going to.
Okay, first one's over here.
All right. Do you mind if I sit for the questions?
Well, for this one you might want to stand, since I hoped you might do a rendition of La Donna e Mobile, like we discussed last night.
Okay. All right. You want the Voyager version. Why don't I just sing, should I just sing Tuvok, that part, from there on? The whole thing? Oh my God, you people. All right. Say it again? I'll tell you what, I will, why, is somebody going to sing with me?
You wanted me to.
And are you a real opera singer?
No.
Are you going to make me look terrible?
No, I'm going to look good. I'm terrible.
All right, do you want to bring him up on stage to sing with me? We can't put it on YouTube, all right? I'm so sick of looking at myself singing on YouTube, I'm going to throw up. All right, all right, you're asking for this. You're going to pick the key and the whole schmoo?
No, I'm following your lead.
All right. So I start and you join?
Yes.
All right, here's your microphone. Oh, careful, no, take time, take time.
That's what happens when I try.
Hello. Oh, look, they're both working. Oh, what's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel. Okay, Daniel. Daniel and Robert are now going to sing La Donna Mobile. Do I pick the key?
Yes, please.
All right, ready? La Donna Mobile, qual più mal vento, muta da cento, e di pensiero, sempre un'amabile, leggiadro viso, impianto e riso, e menzoiero. La donna immobile, qual più mal vento, muta da cento.
Pensia. Eddie Pensia. Eddie Pensia.
Down the gig of an
Well done. That was a very risky thing for me to do. Thank God it worked out. All right.
Okay, it's talent night. Is anybody else got anything to any other questions?
We'll bring a lady up at the end to do You Are My Sunshine, so think about it. Wait a minute, at the end, who really knows the words and the melody? Who really knows? Okay, you don't have to be as cute as Jerry Ryan, it never hurts, but you don't have to be, because God knows I'm not as cute as Jerry Ryan either. All right, yes?
You think there's a lot of brilliant renditions, all singing and everything. Is there any character, male or female, that you would love to do, say, Phantom Opera or something, you know, really sort of that you'd love to do?
I would like to play Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman, I think, the Arthur Miller classic. I would like, which is not a singing role, which is very dramatic, but I think I'd like to do that. Years ago I did an Arthur Miller play that, interestingly, Sir Patrick Stewart did the production here about 12, 15 years ago of a late career Miller play called Broken Glass. And I also played the same role in the States. So and that's kind of a warm-up for Death of a Salesman. Anyway, so that's one of my favorite American plays. Next.
Next question.
Given what you should play the darker version of yourself, would you like to do a Mirror Universe episode? And what would your storyline have been like?
If a darker version of my character on Star Trek, not Stargate.
Star Trek, sorry.
Yes. Well, we did that in an episode called The Darkling. Do you recall that? The sort of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where the doctor was trying to improve his program by incorporating various character traits from historical figures, and it sort of goes a little crazy, and he has like an evil alter ego. I thought that was interesting. Do you remember The Darkling? It was I kind of used my, years ago I did a horror movie called The Howling as a young man. So I'll give you a little interesting tidbit. I played a werewolf in The Howling. If you search Robert Picardo werewolf on YouTube, you'll see this painful 7-minute transformation of me turning into a werewolf before computer-generated imagery. This was all with practical makeup effects. Anyway, I had plastic teeth to make me look more like a wolf. So in the Star Trek episode, The Darkling, I wanted to change the way I looked. So I had contact lenses made that made my pupils smaller so that the whites of my eyes were larger. I'm sorry, there was a white rib that made my cornea, the dark part of your eye, it made my corneas more narrow for when I was the evil version. It was a very subtle change, maybe made them a millimeter or 1.5 millimeters narrower. And then I took the leftover bottom teeth. I couldn't use the top werewolf teeth. They were too obviously werewolf teeth. But I took the bottom teeth and put them in my mouth, and when I played the evil doctor. So I had to go to the producers, Jerry Taylor, and say I wanted to use these teeth, and I had to go in her office and put them in and show her that it wasn't going to be silly, so that the audience wouldn't find it ridiculous. And they made it a little harder to talk, you know, so I had to be very careful that I sounded scary. But I didn't sound like they didn't want me, right? You know. So, but I won her over, and I do wear the bottom of my Eddie Quist from the Howling teeth. I wear them in The Darkling. How's that for an interesting, well, perhaps not interesting, well, perhaps kind of boring tidbit that you never knew before, all right?
Question.